I think this quite possibly is the worst background I've ever filmed in, but it makes sense given what the title of this video is. I'm moving to Canada. Yeah, that's I guess something that I've been not necessarily hiding from you guys. I guess it's just been so far away. It has come around real quick, let me tell you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elena and I have autism, and this video, if this is the first video that you are seeing of me, this is something that, for one, I never thought I would ever do, and two, this is just very unlike me. Why am I doing this, you ask? I'm 28 now. My best friend moved over to Toronto and I felt it was time to actually stop being sad, stop being this really lost person and actually start living. I've never wanted to travel up until this point. I kind of had it in my mind that I was going to not see the world. There was just too much out there, too much uncertainty, too much noise, too much anxiety, too much sadness, and I just wanted to stay in my tight little cocoon, and I just realized I don't want to live like that anymore. So I'm doing the biggest thing, the most out of character thing I've possibly ever done, and I'm documenting this journey to give hopefully somebody else the confidence to know that they can do anything they fucking want to do, because 2.5 years ago I couldn't drive. A year and a half ago I was sitting at my kitchen table at about 9 o'clock at night and I was sitting silently and I was thinking about what death would look like, and was that going to be something that I went ahead with. And I decided that night to give it 6 months. In 6 months, if the world could show me a reason to keep living, then I wouldn't take my life. And in 6 months time from that point, life was actually worse. Life was so bad and so terrible. My entire life fell apart. In that falling apart, in that depression, I found some form of strength and fight to live. And amongst all of that, I have developed huge coping mechanisms, huge self-love and self-acceptance. I'm ready to take on this new challenge. And I tell you one thing, if you are autistic, a lot of airports now created this thing that you may not know about, and it's this sunflower lanyard, and it's for hidden disabilities. What this means is when I wear this in the airport, for those who don't have a hidden disability, they won't know what this is. They're just going to think I'm wearing a lanyard. But the airport staff are trained to recognize that when a person is wearing a sunflower lanyard, they might need, you know, a quieter room, or the instructions may not be able to be heard the first time, so they have to slow down. And the other really amazing thing, and why I'm able to do this, because I'm actually traveling with my cousin. We are both heading over to New York. My journey will begin there. Am I stressed? Not really. I'm pretty numb to it, to be honest, and I think this is where like autism emotions really help. Just kind of switch that one off. Don't want to think about that. Join me as I pack, I guess. initially began with the intention of this video to be a very vibrant, fun, exciting and happy kind of travel vlog, but I realized that this wouldn't be a me video if I made something like that and refused to, I guess, leave out the other side of travel. So where I am right now, I am in my new home in Toronto. I live with my best friend now. I am not even a week into this new experience. New York was a blast. It was a complete and utter surreal experience, shall we say. So wild to see these places that I had seen in movies and in photos. It was, you know, a bucket list experience for me, and I'm so grateful and glad that I was able to get there. In saying that, I make content for neurodivergent people, and I am particularly making this video for those neurodivergent people who are interested in travel. And I wanted to share the experience, the true experience of what travel has been for me as someone who's only done it for the first time at age 28. I am currently 12 days into saying goodbye to everything I've ever known and moving to a completely different country, and I can tell you right now that my adrenaline has been at a high this entire time. In fact, 3 days into my New York trip, I got sick. I was actually bedridden. I don't get sick too often, but I do believe that the adrenaline that I've been feeling has just kind of knocked me, it knocked me flat. I had a meltdown within 5 days of me arriving to New York. There was a lot of vulnerability for me because I was around my cousin and my best friend. Having to show those emotions to people is not a comfortable experience, but I was very lucky in the fact that I felt safe enough to share that with them. But that is a reality, you know. I showed you at the beginning of this vlog the fun, exciting look of what New York was, but there was also this reality of me being in the bathroom of my hotel room, really having a good cry, you know, really overwhelmed with the noise, the amount of people, the change, the homesickness, the inability to understand truly what I feel. I have found it incredibly challenging to have so many people around me, having gone from a very independent and solo life to suddenly just feeling like there's so many people around. That's been incredibly challenging, and I've noticed that I really struggle to identify my emotions when there are other people around me. I'm actually experiencing what I believe to be panic attacks for the first time in my life each night I go to bed. So that's been quite awful. In fact, I went to a little kind of bar concert over the weekend, and we were kind of in the mosh pit, a smaller version of a mosh pit, and started kind of having a panic attack, which has just been a foreign experience for me. I would say so far that the travel that I've done actually has heightened the autistic experience for me a lot. Something that a lot of autistic people say just in general is that they feel like an alien on Earth. They feel like they've crash landed on a planet and they're trying to fit in with the people on that planet. And I would say that I feel that times 100. Having moved to a new country, I feel like a little kid again who's trying to learn very, very quickly how to adapt to how people do things. In fact, today's task is actually to go to the supermarket on my own, which is something that I've done hundreds of times before back in New Zealand, but I don't know, something about venturing out on your own in a brand new city in a brand new country is quite a daunting thing, and it's been on my mind all morning. So that's my task for today. Wish me luck. In saying all of that, because that might scare maybe some of you off from actually taking the next step of traveling or moving, I'm learning so much about myself and about the world. And every single day my mind is growing in a way that it perhaps never would have had I stayed where I was. And I believe ultimately that this decision to leave my home is not something that, you know, when I reach the end of my life I'm going to regret. I believe that this is what I'm meant to be doing. As homesick as I feel, I don't want to go home. I don't want to leave. I feel that I would be cutting so much of my growth short. And it's also okay, I think, to feel everything that I described and also be a little bit hopeful in anything in life. Having an autistic brain, having a neurodivergent brain can make things just a little bit trickier, but it's not impossible, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make here. And so with that, I have accumulated just a few tips for anyone that is moving cities or countries or just going traveling and they are autistic. Number one, I would say, and I introduced the concept at the beginning of this video, and that is the sunflower lanyard. That was hugely successful, hugely helpful in terms of just feeling looked out for by the airport staff. It's almost like it gave me this pass to not have everything figured out, and people knew immediately that, hey, I struggle to kind of figure things out in a busy environment. It was free. All you need to do is send your airport an email and request one, or that's what I did, and I just got it in the mail like a week later, so hugely helpful. The second thing that I wish that I did was having a list of things that I knew before I left my place of stability. I wish that I had written a little list on my phone of the things that I know 100% that make me feel the most me, that makes me feel very soothed, that no matter what is happening around me, as long as I'm doing this thing, I come back to myself. Because it can be extremely hard, I think, when there is so much change and bustling noise and people, to kind of know the tactics and the strategies that work for you. So not having to think about them and just going to your phone or a piece of paper and knowing, okay, this is what makes me feel good, I think could be very worthwhile. For me, it's music. So when I'm out walking, when I'm out exploring and I'm kind of overwhelmed and trying to navigate myself through crowds and navigate my way back home, or using public transport, I put on my music and it just grounds me and brings me back to myself. Loop earplugs. I actually did a review on these little things. I have found these extremely helpful. For those of you who don't know what these are earplugs, I guess, that kind of alleviate the noise levels but still allow you to hear the person in front of you. I know that you can get different ones that are completely noise cancelling. You can just go online and take a test. This is not sponsored at all, but you can find the right ones for you. And for me, these have been used every single day, particularly in New York. It just dulled down the noise of sirens and traffic and the honking and the people screaming. As an autistic person, if you have like noise sensitivities, you need these. The other thing that has been hugely helpful is my earpods, which are noise cancelling and having music, and it just kind of takes away the craziness and draws me back to myself. Sanitizer and baby wipes. I don't know about you in particular, but for me, my hands, the sense of touch is quite heightened for me. And so when I'm really feeling dirty, which is bound to happen in a busy city, I really found that everything else became a lot more stressful if I felt that my hands were dirty. So quite often I actually would sanitize my hands and just carry around baby wipes, just holding them in my hands just so they always felt wet, and this helped to ground me. Fidget toys. I feel like this one is a bit of a given, but I bought this one in particular. This is by the brand Nido. Make extremely good fidget toys, and this has been so helpful for plane rides, which I'm a very nervous flyer. I have carried this the whole way through my trips, and it just allows me to focus on something other than the pending meltdown that might be coming on. Fidget toys, carry them around, get a whole bunch. You never know what's going to work in the changing environments that you're in. Another tip that I have that I wouldn't have known before doing this is keeping up with snacks and water so you're not dehydrated. I have found that there have been days where I am doing around 20,000 steps, and food is kind of the last thing going on in my mind. I know for a lot of autistic people it can be hard to remember to eat, and just having those things at the ready, I think it can be hugely helpful just from the perspective of not increasing your anxiety levels, because we're naturally very anxious people when there's uncertainty, and if you're not eating, that is going to turn into a panic, and probably is why I have experienced a lot of adrenaline. The last really good tip that I've found helpful that I discovered today has been writing down my emotions and looking at an emotion chart. I'm going to link below the emotion chart that I used this morning as I was doing some journaling that I found really helpful, because I most of the time could not tell you how I feel. I just go off the sensations that I feel, but I don't know how to identify the sensations as an emotion. Looking at this chart and writing down I feel this has been incredibly helpful. So today I realized that I feel hesitant, sensitive, vulnerable, and hopeful. Sometimes just being able to understand yourself in amongst the chaos, I think, can be a very helpful thing. So there you guys go. This was my documentation of transitioning my life from New Zealand to Toronto. I will continue to update you guys on how my journey goes over here. As I said, I'm hesitant but hopeful. Every day I try and tick off something else that might be small to other people, like, you know, jumping on public transport alone, or going to the supermarket, paying with my card on a new EFTPOS machine. Progress and success and feeling proud looks different for everybody. All I can say is don't limit yourself to staying in one place just because you're scared, because I ultimately think the best choice that you can make for yourself is to go with the choice that scares you the most. It might be the most life-changing thing of your life. You might be uncomfortable. In fact, if you're autistic, you're definitely going to be uncomfortable. There's definitely going to be some hard moments, but I think with the hard moments comes big rewards, big growth, and big success, and that's what I'm hoping for in my own life. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, or if you want to follow along my journey, I will link my social medias down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate it. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.